يا ليتنا كنا معكم صلواتك عليه وعلى وليا وعينا حتى where people feel like giving, they get so lonely, where people, that is why today you find, especially within this country, there are millions of people who are lonely and miserable. Whether it is a father, or a mother, or sometimes a child, with that's supposed to bring joy and tranquility and safety. Nobody understands their agony. And I still feel better, and they threw him in the well, and they sold him as a slave boy. In that moment, Jibreel goes to Yusuf. Yusuf, you're alone. I am here, I'm Jibreel. Why are you smiling? He says, who's going to touch me? Who's going to hurt me? I have 11 brothers. They will protect me if my father is Yaqub. But when they took me and they threw me in the depth of this well, I now smile because I know I have no one besides Allah. This point of Yusuf had a family. What a family. They're strong, they're popular, they're powerful. 11 brothers, and you're the son of a prophet. A problem compared to the problem of Yusuf. How did Yusuf solve his problem? He went from the well to being a slave to being a servant son of Rasulullah, Zayd. Zayd grew up in the house of Rasulullah. He married Zaynab bint Jahsh. She would come to Rasulullah. Ya Rasulullah, I want a divorce. I don't want my wife. I don't love my wife. She doesn't love me. She complains. He complains. Rasulullah knew ultimately they will get a divorce. But he would say to him, be more patient. But this was also an example of people who felt lonely in the time of Rasulullah, and one of them grew up in the house of Rasulullah. And today, brothers, sisters, we live in a country and we live in a society where we're no longer in possession to speak about family values. There is no such thing as family, let alone family values. Right now, the essence of family is being questioned. The foundations of family are being shaken. Today, many people in this country today, they live together, but not in marriage. Roommates. He lives with this woman for 5 years, 10 years, 5 months, 2 years, I don't know how long, and then one day he decides, I'm going to propose to her. Been living with this woman for I don't know how many years. Now I decide to propose to her. Okay, you propose. After they propose, they get married, 2 months later they get a divorce. We all have seen this. This is not some fairy tale from like a TV show. We see this every day. We encounter such people every day. Why is it that in Islam this is not allowed? We cannot live with someone for a period of time as roommates, so I get to know her and maybe one day I'll marry her. Why? Because in Islam, brothers and sisters, a union between two human beings, two souls, has to be recognized under the eyes of God. God. Not a big wedding, not a huge ceremony, not the exchange of rings. You do your vows and your promises to another person while Allah is a witness. How can you run away from God? How can you run away from the eyes of Allah? وَلَا يُمْكِنُ الْفِرَارُ مِنْ حُكُومَتِهِ. Where are we going to go? Allah is watching every move. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching and we attest to this and we submit to this, a family is going to be a much better place. Much more enduring. Much happier. There's going to be happiness and tranquility at home. And we live in a society where family values are neglected, they're forgotten. Your kids go to school from 1st grade to 12th grade, not once they will teach them about family values, respecting your parents, respecting your mother, respecting your father. But the most blessed institution, my beloveds, in the eyes of God, more beloved than the Kaaba itself, is the family. And I see many people today in our community. I don't want to talk about others and outside. I'm talking about here. The father feels alone at home. The mother feels alone at home. The children, the teenagers. Nobody understands me. Nobody loves me. Nobody cares for me. And there is a lack of understanding sometimes of what happens in the life of a Muslim teenager growing up in this country. We don't know. How they suffer at school. They're drawn from one side of what they're seeing at school and what their friends are doing and what they see on TV and the music videos and the lifestyle that they see outside those four walls and outside their homes, and what the religion of Islam and their parents want them to be like. What is their identity? So they feel, I don't have an identity. And in this pain, and in this agony, and in this misery, there is nobody that understands. Nobody. Nobody cares to understand. Nobody cares to listen to them. Brothers, if you want to secure the future of Islam, you must make sure that those young men and women are given a priority. Because years from now, once we are not here, who's going to be here? Is anybody going to be here? You get to decide right now. For how many years will we continue to be selfish? Where the masajid and the Imam Bargas and the Husayniyat, they have to be tailored towards what we like and what we desire and what we want to hear and what we want to discuss and what we need to talk about. What about that? Rasulullah gave priority to the youth. Amir al-Mu'mineen gave priority to the youth. Imam al-Sadiq salawatullahi alayhi founded the school of the Ja'fari school of thought with the youth. Go read their biography. Who were surrounding Imam al-Sadiq? All his companions. Some of them he would start them at the age 9. By the time they were 13, 14, Hisham ibn al-Hakam, go read his biography. The greatest alim of his time, Hisham ibn al-Hakam. Imam al-Sadiq would send him from Medina elsewhere. The hadith says Hisham, when he would debate the greatest scholars of his time, his beard had not fully grown. How old could that be? 15, 16 years old. He started at the age 9 with Imam al-Sadiq. While there were others. Imam al-Sadiq could have said, you 9-year-old, you get out of here. Bring me a 14-year-old who has money, who has a position, who has a business, who's going to... Imam al-Sadiq knew this was the future of the Ja'fari school of thought. Imam al-Hussein on the 10th of Muharram took youth with him. Many people abandoned Imam al-Hussein. We have to give them a priority and we have to listen. You never go wrong by listening, brothers. Listen. Anybody who wants to speak, give them an ear and listen. There was a man in the time of Imam al-Sadiq. He was known to be the founder of the atheist movement in the time of Imam al-Sadiq. Atheist movement. Today, alhamdulillah, our youth, if they make mistakes or they sin, at least they don't initiate an atheist movement. But if they have a few questions here and there, then sometimes they're labeled with blasphemy or... Anyways, this young man, he comes to Imam al-Sadiq and he debates Imam al-Sadiq. You've probably heard some of the stories. Can Allah put the whole universe in an egg? Another day he told Imam al-Sadiq, I created those worms. And so on. So he debated the Imam, and Imam would respond every time. One day he came to Imam al-Sadiq, he says to him, Assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah. So Imam al-Sadiq, he smiled, he said, why are you smiling? He said, you're denying God, but you call me Ibn Rasulullah. You deny God, yeah, but you call me, I'm the son of Rasulullah. He says to him, Ibn Rasulullah, it is your akhlaq that draws me to give you this respect, this honor. Imam al-Sadiq was tolerant. The Ja'fari school of thought is a school of thought of tolerance. And Imam al-Sadiq even gave his attention to an atheist. And he sat and he listened to him and he responded. Let us make the institutions that we have in the name of Imam al-Sadiq, in the name of Ahlul Bayt, more tolerant. Let us make our families areas of tolerance, where we listen, especially to our children, to our youth. And let us know, brothers, sisters, that those days of childhood are extremely important days in the lives of your children. Don't say he's a kid, she's a kid, they'll grow up, inshallah, they'll forget. Oprah Winfrey. You all know Oprah, right? Oprah is the wealthiest woman. In fact, some people believe she's the one that put Obama in the White House. Right? She's the most successful woman. She writes in her book, she says, I had a house, an apartment in Chicago on a skyrise that was the most secure building in the world. And she had an entire floor, a penthouse to herself, and she would use the telepad to get into her house. And she had her own security, and the building was the most secure building. Okay? She says, when I would go into my bedroom at night, I couldn't sleep. I was afraid. All this money, all this wealth, everybody looks at Oprah, she's so rich. She can't sleep at night in her own bed. Within the most secure building, with the security that she had. So she would tell her personal assistant, let us leave the building, check into a nearby hotel. So both of them, two people, they would leave the building. She would say, I would go to a nearby hotel. As soon as I put my head on the pillow, I'd pass out, I'd sleep. So she thought to herself, what is wrong with me? Why do I have to go and sleep at a hotel? I know nothing is going to happen to me. Until she said, I hosted a psychologist, Dr. Perry. And I told him my problem, that I can't sleep at night. So he told her, Oprah, tell me about your childhood. So she began to tell stories and stories until they found the story. What was the story? Oprah was born into poverty. Many of you know this. To a point that her mother could not take care of her. Her mother told the grandma that she's an extra mouth to feed. I cannot afford feeding you. Her mother would make $50 a week. She couldn't take care of Oprah, so she shifted Oprah from her home to her grandparents. She said, my grandpa had dementia. So in the middle of the night, my grandfather would wake up, get out of his room, come to my room where I slept with my grandma, and he would start choking my grandma. And she would push him away and whatever, and would go back to sleep. She said, I would see this every day as a 5-year-old. She said, until one day, we were in deep sleep, I realized that my grandpa's really choking her. I mean, she's about to die. She said, I was very scared. So I got up, I made some noise, I pushed him away, and finally we got him off my grandma. So my grandma goes out in the streets and she starts yelling for help. 10 minutes later, she says, Uncle Harry shows up, but the problem is he was blind, he couldn't do anything. So he arrives there, he can't do much. Anyways, the next day they put a lock on her room. So she says they would lock the door I would sleep, but I would sleep with one eye open. Why? I knew my grandpa's not going to make it. The door is locked, but I was afraid. What if he does? What if he breaks the lock? What if he gets inside? She said, I grew up with this anxiety. Now, as the most successful woman, well in her 50s, she still has anxiety from that childhood. Now think of the moments, think of your responsibility towards your children. The safety of your children, the well-being of your children. Provide for them an environment where they grow up feeling safety, feeling this world is a safe place. Not being afraid to even go to sleep at night. And many of us, brothers and sisters, we feel as parents that our only task in life is not to provide our children with the best of akhlaq, with iman, with morality, with the fear of Allah, taqwa, but to give them a nice car, Allah, to give him a nice watch, so he dresses with nice clothes, so he lives in a nice home, so he sleeps on a comfortable bed, he goes to a private school, he eats good food, he flies business. But when we wake up to the reality that every one of those moves was wrong, it's going to be too late. You're not going to be a father at that point. You're going to be an ATM machine. You're not going to be a mother at that point. Some fathers, they treat the home like a bed and breakfast. He shows up at night, sleeps, dead tired. He's working 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, goes to sleep. In the morning, he has breakfast, takes a shower, and leaves. Why? Because we feel we have to do more. And more for our kids. We have to give them everything. Habibi, slow down. Slow down. Your children don't just need money. Your child, whatever shoes he wears is not important. The shirt he wears is not important. The bed he sleeps on is not important. Love, this is a rule, human rule, humanitarian rule. Since the inception of life on earth until the last day. Love equals time. Love equals money? Huh? No. Love does not equal money. Love equals time. Quality time. Spend time with your kids. Spend time with your family. It's okay if you make less. But it's not okay if you lose your family and your children. Wallahi, we have seen many people lose their children. There is no return. Why? Because he was so busy working day and night to give his children the best of lifestyle, for himself the best of lifestyle. This does not bring happiness. Who is now happy because of this lifestyle that you're emulating? Allah chose for this guy, Jeff Bezos, to be an example for humanity. We read the Quran, we see Qarun. We say, Qarun is a story in the books. No, there's a Qarun in our time. Is he happy? His wife left him. Look at what his life is like. A joke. Second wealthiest man, Elon Musk. His son says, I wish I had another father. Look at this guy. He doesn't even know how to name his kids. And others. We see this every day. We teach our children to chase the dunya, to chase the lavishness of this dunya, and then when they fall into the sins of the dunya, we are upset. Why did you do this? What did you teach him? And this dunya, brothers, this dunya, our Imams of Ahlul Bayt, they teach us this dunya is like a mirage. The more you run, the faster you run, the more you chase, the farther it gets. You think, I have to just chase a little more until I get to the water, right? This is a mirage. You run faster, you run more, you get there, you see, no, it's nothing, it's further. You run more, and it's further. And another hadith, the Ahl al-Bayt tell us that hubb dunya is like salt water. If you are stuck in the middle of the ocean and your ship breaks or you don't have water to drink, you're not going to drink from the ocean water. Because the moment you drink from that water, you will die. They tell you stay thirsty. Don't drink from this one. But there is so much water. Why shouldn't I drink? Everywhere I look, it's water. It looks so good. It looks so clean. Just a little drop, let me drink from this. They tell you, you drink from this, you'll die. This is not the type of water you should drink. You have to drink purified water. This dunya that we see today on social media and on TV, this is like salt water. We drink more and we get more thirsty and more thirsty. And for the youth, mashallah, and I said I came because of you. We also have to know that we play a role in making our homes a happy place. It's not just my mother and father who must play a role in bringing happiness to the house. You play a role as well. If you go with your friends and you're joking with them and you're laughing with them and you're having fun with them, but you come home, what's wrong? Goes to the room, closes the door, doesn't talk, doesn't speak, doesn't spend time, doesn't joke with his parents, of course the house is going to be miserable. Another thing is that as parents, your parents don't know when they have to talk to you. When they come to talk to you in the wrong time, you get upset. True? So you should be smart. You should be smart. What should you do? Turn the house into a happy place. Joke with your parents. Tell them about a good day you had. Share your sentiments at home. Number one. Number two, you go to your parents. Don't wait for your parents to come to you. Go to them. Ask them. Ask advice from them. There is no one who can give you better advice than your own parents. Because anybody else might cheat you. There's a possibility. 1 in 100. Somebody might cheat you. Your friend, your boss, somebody who's jealous of you, somebody who hates you, somebody who dislikes you. But your parents, they will never cheat you. They will always give you the best advice. Once a parent, always a parent. Don't think I'm going to be 18, I'm going to run away, I don't want to see my parents, I want to go and I want to become independent. This is the worst mistake anybody can do. In fact, a smart person would plan his days and nights and years. How am I going to stay longer with my parents? Because wallah, when you leave your parents, you will miss them. Even when your mother is angry with you and she's upset and the stares she gives you, you will miss this. You will miss the person who took care of you, who bathed you, who clothed you, who put you to sleep, who listened to your problems, who listened to your complaints, who made you breakfast, who washed your clothes, who loved you unconditionally. You will miss those days. Maybe you won't need them financially, but you will need them more when it comes to their love and affection and emotions. Take advantage of those moments with your parents. Nobody tells you this in school. In fact, the cool thing is, oh, you listen to your parents, man? Seriously? You go out with your family? Go to your parents. Seek advice from them. Because they know, they've spent those years prior to you They have made the mistakes. Now they're willing to give you the advice that will eliminate the mistakes. And more importantly, if you see your father, mostly the fathers, he's a workaholic, tell him, Baba, slow down. It's okay. We don't need more money. We need you. They're human too. They think sometimes that this is what you need. And sometimes the men because unfortunately this culture defines masculinity to men in the wrong sense. What is a man in this country? Somebody who goes to the gym, somebody who has money, somebody who drives a nice car, somebody who wears a nice watch, somebody who wears a beautiful suit, somebody who's successful, somebody who is tough, somebody who's not afraid to get into a fight. This is masculinity. This is the masculinity you see on TV, on television, in movies, in Hollywood. But what is masculinity in the Quran? رِجَالٌ صَدَقُوا مَا عَاهَدُوا اللَّهَ عَلَيْهِ. A man, yesterday I spoke, a man is his word, is his honor. A man is not somebody who picks a fight with someone else, but picks a fight within. He has jihad al-nafs, can overcome his desire and his lust. A man is a man who can win the battle within himself, who can protect his family, who can be a good role model for his family. That is a man in Islam. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen in Khutbah al-Jihad, in a portion he says, Ya ashbah al-rijal wa lastum bi-rijal. You only wear pants. You're not men. They said we're fatigued, we're tired. So he says to them, Ya ashbah al-rijal wa lastum bi-rijal. You're not men. You only look like. You dress like. We have to redefine masculinity for our children, for our youth. Your parents are people too. Tell them, slow down. Go find a hobby, go exercise, travel, see the world. Don't overburden yourself. We want you to live long. We want you to be happy. If you continue like this, what good does it do that you're going to leave me millions of dollars, but you're going to be in your grave? You have a life full of stress. Do this yourself. Go to your parents, talk to them, slow them down. And you should take control of the family. Like I said, brothers, sisters, there is nothing more beloved in the eyes of Allah than a family that comes together with harmony. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, one day he saw a person praying, oh Allah, give me a tall, handsome, good-looking, blonde, blue eyes son. Ali told him, are you crazy? What is this dua? He said, I want him to be like Hajj Ahmed, tall, handsome. So he said, pray that you have Rabbi habli min ladunka dhurriyatan tayyibah. Pray for tranquility. Pray for peace. Pray for harmony. Pray for akhlaq. What looks are not going to make a difference in your life. What remains within the family is the akhlaq of your children, the morality of your children. And this is what we learn from Karbala. What do we learn from Karbala? We saw somebody who was destroyed and devastated and broken, and she sees her family torn apart and slain and murdered, thirsty. It can't get worse than this. She was the daughter of the Khalifa. Now they tell her, you're a captive. Let's go. She looks, she sees the bodies of her brothers. When she goes to Ibn Ziyad as a prisoner of war, a captive, and she sees the head of her brother. How can a woman at that moment, any human being, not collapse? Not beg for mercy, not plead. Some people say Zainab cried, Zainab this. They don't know Zainab. Zainab never cried. She never asked for mercy. She was like a mountain. So he tells her, Ibn Ziyad tells her, كيف رأيت صنع الله بأخيك? You see what Allah has done with you and your brother? Look at the wits of this woman, the daughter of Ali ibn Abi Talib. She says, Wallah ma ra'aytu illa jamila. I did not see but beauty. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. This is what a family needs. This is the role model that we see in the day of Ashura, in the camp of Imam al-Hussein. When they faced all sorts of miseries and problems, they stayed strong as a unit. Look at Abbas, look at Ali al-Akbar, look at Qasim, look at the rest of the family of Imam al-Hussein. How they stayed strong. They didn't deter from what they had to accomplish on the 10th of Muharram. This is the example that we are left with. This is the legacy of the Ahlul Bayt. And amongst the dearest individuals who fell on the sands of Karbala on the 10th of Muharram was no other than his son, Imam al-Hussein's son, Ali ibn al-Hussein. One day Imam al-Hussein, as he was making his way to Karbala, he woke up, he was sleeping, he woke up, and he was saying, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Hasbi Allah, Hasbi Allah. So they told him, what is wrong, Ya Aba Abdullah? Ali al-Akbar says, Ya Abata, I see you troubled. He said, I saw an angel in my dream. He said, يَسِيرُونَ الْقَوْمَ وَتَسِيرُ الْمَنَايَا مَعَهُ. This camp is moving and death is moving along their side. Ali al-Akbar, this young man, says, Ya Abata, أَلَسْنَا عَلَى الْحَقِّ لَا نُبَالِي وَقَعْنَا عَلَى الْمَوْتِ أَمْ وَقَعَ الْمَوْتِ. And they say that Imam al-Hussein on the 10th of Muharram, we all know, he turned off the candles. He said, please, all of you, you may leave. Even when Shimr came and he said, Abul Fadl, come, I want to speak with you. Imam Hussein says, go and hear him. But he never told Ali ibn Akbar to leave. He was so attached to his son. And that moment when Ali ibn Akbar came and he stood in front of his father, and Imam al-Hussein knew that this was the wada. So the first thing that Imam al-Hussein said, he read this ayah, إِنَّ اللَّهَ اصْطَفَى آدَمَ وَنُوحًا وَآلَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ ذُرِّيَّةً بَعْضُهَا مِنْ بَعْضٍ. Then he raised his hands, he said, اللهم اقطع رحمهم كما قطعوا رحمهم. Then he went out of the tent and he said, Allahumma اشهد على هؤلاء القوم فقد برز إليهم غلام أشبه الناس خلقا وخلقا ومنطقا برسول الله وكلما اشتقنا إلى رسولك نظرنا إليه. Oh Allah, be a witness that this young man who has gone to them most resembles Rasulullah. He's the inheritor of Rasulullah. Allahu Akbar. His mother Layla was in the tent. She's watching the face of Imam al-Hussein. Suddenly she sees the face of Imam al-Hussein is gloomy. She says, Ya Aba Abdullah, is there danger going towards my son? He says, yes. Ya Layla, ادخلي في الفسطاط وانشري شعرك وارفعي يديك إلى الله. Go inside the tent, open your hair, raise your hands to Allah and pray for your son Ali ibn Akbar. She goes inside the tent. She opens her hair like Imam al-Hussein said to her. She raises her hands. She says, Ya Rad Yusuf ila Ya'qub Radda li waladi Ali إلهي بحرمة الحسين إلهي بعرش الحسين إلهي بغربة الحسين رد لي ولدي علي. Oh Allah, I beg you in the thirst of Hussein, I beg you in the loneliness of Hussein. I beg you in the name of Hussein, return my son back to me. So Ali al-Akbar, he returned. He says, Ya abata halli sharbatan min al-ma. Can you give me a drop of water? أتقوى بها على هؤلاء الأعداء. So that I can re-energize myself, so that I can go back. Imam al-Hussein takes out his tongue, he shows his son, that, oh my son Ali al-Akbar, I am more thirsty than you are. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. Let us raise our hands to the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. نسألك اللهم ونرجوك ونقسم عليك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا Allah. Oh Allah, we beg you in the name of Hussein to allow us to be amongst the sincere servants of Imam al-Hussein. Oh Allah, we ask you to give us the honor and the privilege to be amongst the visitors and the za'ireen of Imam al-Hussein, to receive the shafa'ah and the intercession of Imam al-Hussein. Oh Allah, we ask you to accept this humble azab from us for Imam al-Hussein. Oh Allah, we ask you when they place us in our grave, in the first night of our grave, and the most lonely moments, to see the face of Sayyid al-Shuhada, Imam al-Hussein. Oh Allah, we ask you, every man and woman present in this majlis with a sin, forgive our sins. Oh Allah, we ask you, every ill mu'min and mu'mina around the world, shower onto them from your pure. Our many mu'mineen and mu'minat who are amongst this community and are no longer with us. Oh Allah, send the thawab of this majlis to their graves. اللهم أدخل على أهل القبور السرور. اللهم شافي كل مريض. اللهم سد فقرنا بغناك. اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك. اللهم اقض عنا الدين واجرنا من الفقر انك على كل شيء قدير. والى ارواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والعلماء والشهداء وخدمة الحسين نهدي جميعا ثواب سورة المباركة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.